Hey, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Staying Home, your revolutionary guide to the Green New Deal. I'm Josh Fox here in New Orleans, the great Crescent City, coming to you right before Christmas. This is our last Friday show before Christmas, and we're going to have an amazing show tonight, as always. We're full of entertainers today and things that you can do at home. We have Don Vappy, the legendary banjo genius from New Orleans, who's coming to us with the song of the week. And we have Christoph Dornemann with our cocktail of the week. I have a feeling it's going to be a holiday festive cocktail, so you're going to learn. You can learn like I do. And if you've been watching this show, or listening to it, I should say, since March, you've learned a lot of cocktails. And I'm proud of you, because you're going to be the life of the party when there's able to be a party again. But listen, here's what's really important. This show is called Staying Home, your revolutionary guide to the Green New Deal. We talk about things environmental. We talk about the coronavirus crisis. We talk about art. We talk about culture. We talk about politics. Most often, we talk about justice, because the Green New Deal is rooted in justice, this idea of justice for frontline communities, justice for the planet Earth, justice for the truth. And I just want to say, listen, it's been a long time. It's been 9 months almost, right, of us doing this program, 9 months of us being locked down. It's hard. Take a breath, pat yourself on the back, understand that what you need to do is keep it up. You got to keep it up. We're here. We're in this. My neighbor, my upstairs neighbor, who's a doctor, an emergency doctor in New Orleans, got vaccinated yesterday. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I saw the pictures of him getting vaccinated. I saw this moment of lockdown begin to crumble in front of me, and I felt hope. I felt there was a light at the end of the tunnel. But it's going to take us a while. It's going to take 6 months to get to the place, or more, possibly 9 months, to get to the place where we all feel safe to get back outside again. Listen, this is the challenge. This is the long haul. This is the marathon. This is that moment. We are still staying home. We are still protecting our loved ones. We're protecting our civilization. We're protecting our society. We're protecting our health. We're protecting our elders by staying home, by making sure that we are going to survive this. The New York Times just came out with an article, 5,000 additional young people per month died in July and August. And that means that if you're a young person, you're not safe from coronavirus. You might get it. You might become a long hauler. We've had 2 different episodes on long haul. We've had 2 different episodes about how hard it is on your lungs and on your spirit and on your mental health, and how people have mysterious illnesses after coronavirus. And it can kill you. But if you're a young person, what you're doing is you're spreading a disease that could kill your grandma, that could kill your father, that could kill your mother with more frequency and prevalence than you. This is a moment about empathy. This is a moment about science. This is a moment about perseverance. This is a moment about the beauty of life. And that's why we have this show called Staying Home. That's why we campaign to save the planet, to save ourselves, and to save science and truth. That's why we have to heed the warnings, mask up, lock down, tune in, and make sure that you stay safe. That's what this program's all about. We're going to celebrate here with you as best we can for Christmas. We're going to talk about art, independent art, with the creators of a space called Jack in Brooklyn. And we're going to talk to Don Vappy, the song of the week. But I just want to say, listen, guys, this is hard. It's hard to do. Mentally, it's tough. Be easy with yourself, and let's campaign to get that relief, that money from the government, because we need it. We need to have rent relief. We need to have all those things. We need a place that's compassionate. We need a compassionate, intelligent, science-driven, fact-based America. We can create that. It starts with saving our own lives. Stay home. All right. But the song of the week, one of my favorite people in the world, who's wearing a hat slightly goofier than mine.
I'm being festive, man. It's a festive spirit.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it.
You know?
I never thought I would ever see, I guess this is our Christmas show.
Well, you know, man, one thing that's a drag, every year I do, me and a bunch of other volunteers do a Christmas play for Stark, which is this organization over in Slidell. They have them all over the state. But, you know, for people that are special needs and have to stay in these facilities, and we do this show. And I really miss that. this year. We can't, So anyway,
Well,
ho, ho, ho.
All right. You got it, Don.
Yeah, man.
How you doing over there on the North Shore? I like those throw pillows.
I'm good, man. Yeah, well, I tried to, yeah, thank you.
I know you're impressed with my knowledge of the terminology
Exactly,
of the
man.
modern suburban home. I myself do not have a modern suburban home nor throw pillows, but I've studied up on these things.
Well, my wife, man.
Right.
Hey,
well,
I'll tell you what I'm excited about.
Tell me.
My album, The Blue Book of Storyville, is at the top of the list in the Times of London top 10 CDs in 2020. Top 10 albums. Isn't that something?
Well, you're always on our top 10 list, and it's glad to know that this sentiment is shared by the Times of London. Why do you think London and not, as the saying goes, a prophet is not respected in his own land?
Well,
but it's good to know that the British have a sense of jazz and taste. What's our song of the week? What do you think? Let me say, you're tuned into Staying Home, your revolutionary guide to the Green New Deal. I'm Josh Fox. We'll be back in a moment with the song of the week with John Vappy. All right, we're back. And Don, what's our song of the week?
It's called Real Soon.
I love it. I love it already. I love the idea. I'm with the vibe right now.
Real Soon. Waiting on stimulus checks, COVID vaccinations. William Barr is out. Things moving fast. Mar-a-Lago neighbors saying, go back where you came from. Get out. Thousands of lies, can't keep count. It's really put us in a dilemma. We've gotten sick of your voice, but we had no choice. Now you're going out whining like a crying Emma. It's time to move on. It's the end of your song. For 4 years, it's been out of tune. You're out. You're out of things to fake. Time to evacuate. You'll be out of our lives real soon. Not soon enough, but real soon. Not fast enough. Like I said, it's time to move on. You're out of things to fake. Time to evacuate. You'll be out of our daily lives real soon. Time to move on. It's the end of your song. Yeah, we're done with that stuff, man. Now, it's time to move on. End of your song. For 4 years it's been out of tune. Oh Lord, you're out of things to fake. Time to evacuate. You'll be out of our daily lives real soon. Not soon enough, but real soon. Not fast enough. What a buffoon. We're so tired of you and your family too. we've all had enough. What a maroon.
Oh, I think I have a feeling I know who that song is addressed to.
Let me think about that.
I have an inkling. I have a passing thought.
Who could
that I
that
know.
be?
Who could it be? What a maroon. You know, I don't think a lot of, I mean, that's one of my favorite expressions. Bugs Bunny always used to say
Exactly,
that.
man.
What a maroon.
What a maroon.
Oh, I love that. John Vappy's Song of the Week could not be more poignant and more precious and prescient. So Don, let's wax nostalgic for a minute. You have been on a tear writing these new songs since, it was months ago. I don't even remember. Maybe Scott, our engineer, will remember when you actually started the writing of new songs. Because the thing is that you would come on and do classic tunes. September, says Scott, sometime back in September. So that was a good September, October, November, December, right? That was like 4 months ago, 3.5 months ago. So let's sing every week, 3 or 4 songs a month, 12 songs, 16. You might have a 15-song record just from the new tunes of Don Vappy on Staying Home.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh?
I want to make them as a record. I really do.
I'm getting ready for the show, man. I'm getting ready to be the music director so I can do my arrangements and have the band play this stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah. That would be great. Well, I mean, even if this was just a solo record, which is you and the banjo, I think that it would work. Me personally, that's my feeling.
Oh, yeah. No, I think you're right, man. But it's really been fun because I kind of look at things that go on during the week, you know, and like, I mean, Monday was just this day, man. I mean, bar was out, the vaccinations started, the electoral college came together.
Mm.
You know, I mean,
it was what they said in Elizabethan times, a day to be marked with a white stone.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means, but it means it was a big day. You're right. William Barr gone, electoral college finally does their antiquated duty in getting rid of Donald Trump and making Joe Biden formally the president-elect. Yeah. And the vaccinations happened all on the same day.
And what was it, 48 different lawsuits? I mean, court filings that got thrown out or something? Some ridiculous number.
Oh, every single one. Well, Don, do you live in one of those red areas, right?
Yeah.
John Boutte
Louisiana.
Well, right. You live, but outside of New Orleans, John Boutte loves to call New Orleans a sapphire in a baboon's ass, meaning he calls it that because it's a blue spot in the middle of a giant red area. But what do you think in the 2 minutes we have left? What are you going to say, and how do you have to deal with a lot of your neighbors who are Trump supporters? What's the road forward for that dialogue? What do you think?
Well, you know, man, I don't really have the vicious ones. I mean, people kind of get into their thing and they grow up in a certain thing and I think they just vote without thinking about it sometimes. You know, It's like, well, I've always been a Republican. Yeah, okay. But I mean, you know, I've always been a Democrat. That doesn't mean I'm going to vote for one every time. I'm going to look at what they do.
Right.
So in that sense, I don't get that kind of thing. But what I do hate is, like the other day, I went to pick up a prescription. There's a guy waiting at the counter. He's got his mask on. So as I walk up, he decides to pull it off. And I stop. And the lady says, well, can I help you? I said, yeah, as soon as he puts his mask on or moves away.
Right.
And then he looks at me like we're going to fight, right? You know, I mean, I'm not going to fight nobody over nothing stupid like that. But, you know, it's going to take, well, until the leadership of the party, and I don't know if it's even a party anymore, man, because all the stuff that's going on, it's really treasonous, man. All the talk of sedition. I mean, you know.
I have to say this to your friend at the pharmacy who wouldn't wear his mask, and all the people who I see parading up and down the street with no masks on, inside or outside, I have just one thing to say. We don't want to see your damn face anyway.
It's true, man.
So put your mask on.
But
No, I'm kidding. We have one thing to say. Please,
well,
please have a little. That was a joke.
No, I understand, but I mean, I don't want to see his. I mean, in this case, we really don't want to see your face.
But we all have to exercise empathy and care for our fellow humans. Let's just hope that we can break through. We got to keep that dialogue going strong. And Don, thank you for your music. It helps bring us into the weekend every single time. We'll be right back with Alec Duffy and Jordana De La Cruz from Jack. Thanks, Don. We'll see you next week.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Anything you celebrate, and I'm with you, baby. Love you.
Thanks, Don. As you know, we talk a lot on this show about theater because I love theater, and theater is a big part of my life. I'm a theater practitioner of many kinds, and it's been really rough to be in the midst of coronavirus if you're in the theater, because a live audience is not allowed inside. Sometimes outside, we could try to make it work. But the great performing space in New York City, Jack, a place that I've seen things, and I even went to their New Year's party one time. It's a great space in New York, and we're here to talk about the issues facing avant-garde theater and work with the folks from Jack, Jordana De La Cruz, and Alec Duffy. It's great to have you guys on the show. Thanks for being with me.
So glad to be here. Thank you.
Alec, it's been a long time since I saw you down at the old Ohio Theater in Soho, one of my favorite places that used to exist in the world. And with the musical theater and the other wonderful things that you were doing there. And Jordana, maybe you guys, both of you, can just give a brief introduction to who you are, what you do, and the space called Jack.
Yeah.
I'll start. So I'm Alec Duffy. I'm a theater director and one-time actor. And I started a company called Hoi Polloi many years ago, creating original work in collaboration with actors. And at some point, I decided to start a theater space with my wife, Mimi Lien, and several co-founders. And that was in 2012. I named it after my grandfather, Jack Duffy, who was a minister, but a great lover of the arts as well. And we've been on a wild ride since then. And so here we are today. I'll turn it over to Jordana.
Okay, go ahead, Jordana.
So I'm Jordana De La Cruz. I am a co-director with Alec Duffy at Jack, and I joined the team about a year and a half ago. And that was when I joined, it was the last show in our old space. And then we moved a few blocks away. So it's been very exciting. And as we all know, a crazy year for theater.
So talk a little bit about your strategy. I mean, we've talked with other theater owners, people who were around the Crane. We've had Ann Bogart on the program, my mentor. And, it's a really rough moment to be a theater artist, to be any kind of live performing artist. Talk about some of the ways that you have coped with this crisis as artists and as people who are purveyors of the live experience. And what do you see in the future?
Yeah, it's been a rough time. For us, there was a lot of question around whether we were going to have to close the space early on in the pandemic. We managed to raise some money through some grants and through some crowdsourcing that kept us alive through the summer. And now we're in a point where we know that we're going to make it through this winter, but we know that we're going to only make it through this winter with a lot of support from our community.
Right.
And we're confident that it's going to happen, but it'll take a lot of help. Our rent remains the same, whether we're active or not. And so we're trying to right now really preserve our resources as much as possible so that when we do come back, we can come back strong. And Jordana, maybe you can talk about some of the online programming that we've been doing as an effort to keep connected really with the community that we've taken the last 8 years to build.
For sure. So online programming, we started off this spring with Media Tools for Liberation, and that was with Rad Pereira. And that was really talking about technology and how you can use it for social activism and restorative justice, and how we use it even more so in this time period where we're mainly just online and on our computers. And since then, we've had candidate forums with different candidates for instance, City Council coming up in District 35 in Brooklyn. But I would love to actually talk about what not the actual artistic programming we've done, but we're the civic program, if that's cool.
Yeah, please, let's do it.
Cool. So we, in April, so our last show was, beginning of March, as many of us were, and we know. And then a few weeks later, we, still like everyone else, wasn't sure what was going on, didn't know if this would last a few months of no programming, anything like that. So essentially, after a bit, we realized our space just wasn't being used. It was going to waste. We weren't serving our community in any which way. And so then we talked to our board member, Brittany Williams, who connected us to an organization she's in with Samantha Johnson, We Keep Us Safe Abolitionists Network. And we became a mutual aid food hub throughout the summer to be able to provide food and services to people in the neighborhood, our neighbors and residents up to Fort Greene.
I think the impulse to create theater is always one that is about serving people at the level of the different kind of food, right? I have to say, you're tuned into Staying Home, your revolutionary guide to the Green New Deal. We'll be right back. You're tuned into Staying Home, your revolutionary guide to the Green New Deal. I'm with Alec Duffy and Jordana De La Cruz of the Space Jack in Brooklyn, talking about civic engagement. So I always feel like theater, you take theater away, then you're like, okay, well, we'll feed people food. I mean, like that happened here in New Orleans when we saw a lot of the spaces shut down, and we saw a lot of the crews, Mardi Gras crews, have to shut down, and they created ways of feeding musicians. It was called, and they fed the front line, that was the nurses, and then they fed the second line, that was the musicians. Talk about that impulse in terms of creativity in New York City, how that is about improving the world, right? Talk about that.
Yeah, we believe that an art space really is necessarily a community space and is necessarily a political space. Yeah. And so that has really informed this current moment. And this moment has really given us an opportunity to really delve in deep with that. And by transforming our space completely into something that we had never intended 8 years ago when we started the space, but really is a fulfillment of the vision, whether we knew it or not at the beginning, of connecting art and community and really being of service to our community in many different ways. So this space as a vessel for changing the world in a way, in many different ways.
Of course, theater is what changes the world as well as culture, cinema, politics, art, everything. I mean, it's so interesting. We had Anne Bogart on the program, and I asked her what she thought was going to change in terms of theater. And she said, everything's going to change. She said, pandemics change everything. And I can think of a dozen things that are welcome from these changes: more bike lanes, more introspection, a greater connectivity between our sense of purpose and what we're doing in the world, not to waste time. What are some of the things that you guys as a theater space or as theater artists in New York are thinking, these are changes that happened because of COVID, and we're going to keep them? What are those things?
Jordana, do you have anything?
No, I'm thinking that's a great question. I'd say, I think the most obvious one is our ability to share our work with more people. Everyone doing that through technology. But specifically, I think, well, for example, we did a candidate forum. We would have been able to have people, if it was in person as we desired, been able to have 40 to 50 attendees. since we did it on Facebook Live, over 1,000 people actually checked in to watch the forum. And so things like that, there's something there that's pretty epic to not let go of.
Are you going to continue that political engagement after coronavirus is over?
Definitely. I think we had already put our toe in it. This made us like put the next part of our body, and we really want to get like neck deep.
Right. Alec?
Yeah, it was really an opportunity that we seized that we otherwise wouldn't have had, because these candidate forums usually held in very large spaces because 200, 300 people will want to see them. And they're like a debate, right? For local elected office. And so we were never eligible to have candidate forums in the past because we were too small. But now we've really established ourselves on the local political scene as being like serious, taking a really serious approach to this work of how do you facilitate a discussion between candidates, and we can't imagine that going away. I'm not sure that it will move to in person. I think actually, in this case, the online version is preferred. I think is better. You don't lose much. In fact, you can even see the candidates closer.
Probably, yeah.
Whereas with a theater piece or a dance piece, we do really believe in the power of the live experience. And also, I should say, for some of our conversations, community conversations, especially in our series Reparations 365, which is a series around...
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be, featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity. The UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, "You must unlearn what you have learned." And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFDR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
On the topic of distributive justice for Black Americans, it's really important that for us that those conversations take place with people from varied backgrounds coming together under one roof, sharing an experience together in person, having some food together before we launch into a really difficult discussion. That kind of conversation I do see personally as preferable to have in person. But these particular, it's all about context. The candidate forums, I really do feel like we will continue doing them online after the pandemic is over.
And if I could add, in an independent space, right? When we see so much of our commercial theater shying away from politics, saying, oh, we're not allowed to do politics because we're a nonprofit, and nonsense like this, when you have the public theater taking over $500,000 a year from the Blavatnik Foundation, which is basically BP and Rosneft and oil supermajors and Bank of America. How could you not think that that was going to have a political impact on the structure of the work that you were going to give? Whereas in an independent space like Jack, you are talking on a different level, right? It's not just about identity politics as much as let's get to work, let's roll up our sleeves. Tell me more about this reparations project.
Yeah, it started really, so I'll take a step back and say that the question that we started with when founding Jack in 2012 was really whether we could create a space for experimental performance that served kind of as a connection point for multiple communities. And the way that we approached that at first was largely through programming a diverse slate of artists. And we did find success with that, becoming a space where we had seniors, we had youth from our neighborhood, we had folks from all over the city coming to see performances. But it was around the time of the Eric Garner murder and when protests were filling our city, when that method of kind of simply serving as a vessel for artists in our community was not enough. And that we as an art space needed to have more of a voice and more of a viewpoint, specifically around the fight for racial justice in our city. And it was out of that that we developed programming around those issues. And the series Reparations 365 grew out of that impulse. And in that way, and through that series, which combined and combines performance, conversation, workshops, all around the topic of distributive justice for Black Americans, we've really started to move activism into our mission for the first time. And that's kind of where we are today.
Jordana, do you want to elaborate or comment on that?
I would just, add to what Alec was saying in terms of how much we bring distributive justice into our programming. For us at Jack, we're really dedicated to artists rather just than like the product they make or their pieces. And so it's about getting to know the artists, getting to know them personally, what they care about, how they want to express their political identity or any identity or whatever they want to do, and figuring out how it can intertwine with our reparations programming. So of course, not every piece does, but it's really exciting how many artists come to us and just have an idea for a piece and we're engaging with them. And then they learn about Reparations 365 and they're like, oh, wow, can we have a conversation after my piece because this is the same theme? And that's something that's really exciting.
So in the 3 minutes that we have left, what is coming up for you guys? When do you think that you'll be back up and running? Do you know? Do you have a thought about that? And what does our audience need to sort of support this important independent programming? Also, tell us where it is. A lot of people don't know exactly where it is in New York.
Yeah, Alec, do you want to do candidate forums?
Yeah, sure. So our next candidate forum is in January. It's for a local city council race for District 35. So you can check our website at jackny.org to find out about that if you live in the area. The area that I'm talking about is Brooklyn. It's in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, right near Fort Greene, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights. And we're starting to, well, maybe Jordana, you can talk about when we'll be back live.
Yeah, since we just have a moment. So our plan is to have our first production in the late spring. Note, we are taking it day by day, just like everyone else. We will transition, change, adapt as need be. But something I'm excited about is that all our artists that we had to cancel or postpone, we have them all coming up in our next season. So any piece that you were going to see and couldn't, it's coming back. And that's something I think is really beautiful. And I'm proud that we were able to do. And a way to support us, we would love you to just learn more about us. Our website is jackny.org. And it would be great to learn about our mission, our programming, and anyone who can support, every cent counts.
Thank you guys so much for being on with me today. We really support the independent theater scene in New York. As of course, I'm a part of it. We would love to see some collaborations happen between International Wow Company and our space, which is not far away, and you guys. And let's talk more about that in the future. But definitely listen, support Jack. The website is jackny.org. Is that right?
That's right.
And support your local artists, right? Not the big theaters with millions and millions of dollars and endowments that come from dirty oil money. For the local artists that are struggling every day that we need more support for. Thanks so much, you guys, for being on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The opportunity.
All right. We'll see you again
So,
in New York.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Okay. You're tuned in to Staying Home, your revolutionary guide to the Green New Deal. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. We're back with my favorite segment of the week, The way to kick off the weekend has to begin with Mr. Christoph Jarman and your cocktail of the week, staying home cocktail of the week. Christoph, the master mixologist of French 75, Arnaud's bar, James Beard award-winning bar in the French Quarter of the Crescent City, New Orleans. I'm putting on my sequin jacket. Look at all those spangly sequins. And Christoph is here, and I have a feeling we're going to do something special tonight because nutmeg is involved. I was told I had to go to 5 different stores. No, I'm kidding. All right, nutmeg, what are we doing today? We're going to I like that Hanukkah sweater. Oh, my God.
Yeah, man.
What
we had to represent the Hanukkah.
Yes, of course. Sadly, also the materialization of Hanukkah. But no, I'm kidding. I think it's wonderful. We should be competing with Christmas in every possible respect, including sweaters.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I feel, and I see that. I think the mustache is getting a little bit into a menorah shape a little bit there.
Yeah,
happening.
I'm gonna try to fit tiny little candles on there, but I've been advised not to do that, so I don't know if that's.
Well, you might light your head on fire, which of course it would make good for good TV.
Yeah.
But then it was a very short-lived career. Let's I just immediately become effervescent when I see you, Christoph, and I think that is the name of a local champagne bar here in New Orleans, Effervescence. It's a nice place.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
They have good crab gloves. All right. Well, what are we doing?
So it's not necessarily a holiday drink because it is enjoyed all year round. But I found that, it fits a lot of the flavors, and outside of Louisiana and outside of New Orleans, it's not very common. It's a really, really old drink called brandy milk punch or bourbon milk punch. And it sounds kind of weird because it's like a milky drink it's basically booze, milk, sugar, and vanilla. But it's one of the oldest cocktails.
Sounds sort of like a White Russian, but it's more of a White American.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but it's one of the oldest cocktails. I mean, it's at least 200 years old. I don't remember the exact date, but it's a very, very old classic cocktail. And it feels right. If you want to have like a nice little dessert drink, it's a lot easier to make than a lot of other ones. And it's just classic and it's delicious. So,
listen, we know that in spite of the fact that the vaccines are out, it's going to be a while. So we got to keep staying home. We got to keep drinking. All right.
Drinking at home.
At TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your active ID more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today.
It used to be that drinking at home was a bad thing, but as Tom Waits said, there's nothing wrong with a lady drinking alone in a room.
Agreed. I can't argue that.
Throw that out there.
Well, maybe she'll be drinking one of these.
One of these bourbon milk punch. I think we need a better name for this, Christoph.
No, you always want to rename drinks. Those are the names.
It's called bourbon milk punch. I'm not going to go to a bar and be like, 1 bourbon milk punch, please. I mean, it's got to have something snazzier.
We sell gallons of this every week. It's crazy. It's a brunch. It's a brunch tradition. It's a breakfast and brunch tradition. So I don't know what to say. That's just the way it is. Milk punch. Can I get a milk punch?
I have to just say that as good progressives, we are not going back to brunch. There is no honeymoon for Joe Biden. We're going to call this the no honeymoon milk punch on this show. And it's going to be about campaigning for progressive values, Medicare for all, Green New Deal, $15 an hour minimum, $20 an hour minimum wage, hello, and real relief for the people. We're going to call this the AOC, no brunch, no honeymoon, milk punch. It rhymes even.
That's a
No
great
brunch milk,
name.
no brunch milk punch. We got it.
No brunch milk.
It's for the progressives in the house.
Well, if you make it at home, then it is a no brunch milk punch because you're not going to brunch. So you make it
And
at
the
home,
progressives are in the house if they're
and the progressives are in the house.
if they're
Hopefully.
home. If they're at home.
That's what we're doing.
Okay, this is getting silly. Let's drink. It's time to end the silliness and start the alcohol flowing.
All right. I'm going to do 1.5 ounces of brandy. I'm using my Sacred Bond, bottle and bonded, delicious.
All right, and I'm going to use bourbon. Oh, I dropped my simple syrup tried to commit suicide just there.
And this is a drink that you find in a lot of old school New Orleans places, but yeah, once you see it, it's really not that hard to make at home, and it's just a nice like morning pick-me-up eye-opener.
Oh, a good morning alcohol. All right, let's keep going.
Because you need it.
We're not going to talk
All
about
right,
that.
then I'm going to do about 1/2 ounce of the dark rum.
1/2 ounce of the dark rum. I have some right here, the Captain Morgan spiced.
There you go. Yeah, the rum brings out like those molasses flavors, that brown sugar that you want in there, but you don't have brown sugar.
Awesome.
Although you could do brown sugar, but that's what adds body to it. All right, and then just a few drops of vanilla extract.
Vanilla extract, I have some right here.
That is very important. I'm going to add a little bit.
Oh, that doesn't have a dropper on the end of it. That just
Yeah, be careful.
or a lot of vanilla extract is, no brunch. We love AOC. No honeymoon milk punch. All right, keep going.
All right, I'm going to do, honestly, I kind of have a sweet tooth, so I'm going to do a whole ounce of simple syrup. But you can do like a little less if you want.
Woohoo! No, I have a sweet tooth right there with you. Sugary goodness. All right.
All right.
We only have 3 minutes
do
left, so we got a motor.
About 4 ounces of milk.
4 ounces?
I think you're doing like 3 ounces. I'm going to do a little bit more.
I'm doing half and half. Is that okay?
Yeah, half and half is fine. Do 3 ounces of half and half. That should be right.
Oh my God. I don't think I've drank 3 ounces of half and half my entire life.
Well, yeah, but the booze balances it out, right? That's what I heard.
All right.
I'm just saying, if you build it with milk,
my little brother used to drink. My little brother used to sneak into the refrigerator and drink heavy cream.
I once ate 2 bowls of cereal with half and half instead of milk, and I don't know why, but I did it. It's
creamy and delicious. But I don't know. My mother would find out, and she wouldn't be able to cook what she was trying to cook, and she would freak, and she would say, "Who drinks heavy cream?" All right, let's keep going.
All right, you're actually done.
I'm done.
And so I'm gonna dump little Santa head of ice in there.
Right.
And I don't shake it too much. You don't want to dilute it too much. Do
Two good shakes right there.
Make it so you get a nice little frothy top. That's what you're going for.
I always like the frothy top.
Yeah.
When I have the shakes. All right, and we're gonna strain that.
I don't even strain it. I do my classic. You roll it into a glass, or what I like to call the dirty dunk.
Well, even with the ice?
Oh yeah. I like it on the rocks because it's it's boozy, it's creamy. You can do it neat. You can do it however.
I don't know
if
my glass is big enough for the. Okay. All right.
Yeah, my glass, I overfilled mine, but it's luscious.
This looks really.
All right,
great.
and then your nutmeg. It's the piece of the
I forgot the nutmeg on the top.
Yes, indeed. And now fresh is the best, but if you have the little shaker, go for it.
All right, that looks like a.
I'm literally dripping.
This looks like something. Well, I don't even want to say. Cheers. This is your get out there and protest Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Progressive, no brunch, no honeymoon milk punch. Thank you, Crystal. Wow, it tastes like revolution. I love it. This is fantastic.
Cheers. This is great. Yeah.
Seriously, folks, get out there. Don't let them get away with it. Protest, get ourselves our progressive values in action. Have a wonderful Christmas. We love you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Happy holidays.
Happy Hanukkah, too. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy all the religions that,
Happy all of
any of the religions that you want, including alcoholism. Sorry. All right. Later.
Thanks again, man.
Okay,
Cheers.
Oh, boy. That's really good. And I have extra.
I know, right?
Thanks for listening to the full episode of the Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur, and I'll see you soon.